Huh. Good God. What is it good for? Israel, U.S., Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, UAE. Here we go. Here we go. I'm jumping right in. The USS Gerald Ford is on its way, on his way. It's going to join the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Abraham Lincoln has four accompanying aircraft carriers. Gerald Ford, also four ships coming with it. They're heading for Iran. They're heading for Iran. They're heading for the Persian Gulf. Here we go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this right at the top of the show, because this is ramping up. Is it real? Is it real? That's what we really want to get to, right? Is it real? Well, I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to detail to you right now that it is a little more real this time than it has been in the past. Now, a lot of this is focusing on these talks, nuclear program for Iran. These talks, okay? This arsenal is building up as we are talking with Iran, and Trump is starting to talk about it himself. And he's laid out a little bit of a deadline, okay? He had a gathering, his first official Board of Peace meeting. We'll talk about it. But at that meeting, he talked about Iran. Okay, let's hear what he has to say first. And then we're going to play a little, let's hear it from his own mouth first. Let's hear it from him.
You said today on Iran, bad things will happen if Iran doesn't make
really bad things.
What will that
I'm not going to talk to you about that.
Okay, can you explain, though, what is the goal if there is a U.S. military
Well, we're
strike?
going to make a deal, or we're going to get a deal one way or the other.
But with a military strike, is it to wipe out their nuclear program?
I'm not going to talk to you about that, but we're either going to get a deal or it's going to be unfortunate for them.
And you said today 10 days. Have you given them a deadline firm to make a deal?
I would think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum.
Okay. 10, 15 days. That's an important little time frame. Now, Trump, who is a math genius, the likes of Matt Damon's character, he's a math whiz. He's a beautiful mind. You know how good he is with numbers. You know how amazing he is with numbers. You know that already. This time, although I'm being facetious, that 10 to 15 days, that does make sense for a few different things, a few different reasons. Don't forget also, this is backdropped with Trump's own comments previously, just recently, within weeks, that the Ayatollah Khomeini it would possibly be the best thing that could be. It's the best thing that could happen for Iran if we were to get regime change. He said that again. You know, his cohorts in the Senate and some of the House have talked about regime change. This is a constant theme. Why? Why regime change? Well, it's not out of spite for the Ayatollah Khomeini. It's specifically because they want to harken back toward a time in Iran like they had with the Shah, right? Leading all the way up to the very late 70s. The Shah was very U.S. friendly. Then there was that pesky little anti-U.S. Arab uprising. In comes the Ayatollah. Okay, so we want to go back to a time when we had a U.S.-friendly relationship with the leadership of Iran, specifically because then we could control global oil market prices, and we would have greater control if there was a U.S.-friendly government installed. We would have maybe greater control over the Strait of Hormuz, which 1/5 of the global oil trade goes through. So there's reasons. When they talk about regime change all cleverly in little quips, it means something. It means something. But this 10 to 15 days, well, I'll tell you what will be over in 10 days, the Winter Olympics. Not a good look, start blowing people up during the Winter Olympics. Not a good look. You think these athletes were saying things now? You think there was a bit of a spotlight or a focus on you? Based on what some of our U.S. athletes have said about this administration now? Go bomb some people in Iran. See what they say then on the biggest stage in the world. So yeah, in 10 days, the Olympics will be over. And by the way, congratulations to the U.S. women's hockey team, gold medal, a ridiculously historic overtime final shot. Just an amazing gold medal win for them. We'll see if the men can take care of business. But congratulations to the women, the U.S. women. But yeah, so that's one reason he's talking about 10 to 15 days. Another reason, our forces will be in the region in full by then. after their little tour in the Caribbean, right? And what the hell were they there for anyway? This strike to unseat Maduro, it was your, spec op helicopters coming in the dead of the night, blowing up a couple, intelligence gathering facilities and crucial strategic points on the way in, taking them out, and you're out of there. What was the whole USS Ford, 10 other accompanying ships, 15,000 troops? What, just the show, just to be bigly, strongly, quickly? How much did that cost the American taxpayer? I'm just curious. How much did it cost to have the USS Ford go from the they were by Greece or somewhere like that previously. Then they float all the way to the Caribbean, sit around for a couple weeks, a few months, then float all the way back up to the Persian Gulf. How much did that cost us? I'm just curious. And what for? So we could be bigly, strongly off the coast of South America? Are you kidding me? It's all a show. It's all a sham. Okay. All right. This strike. Possible strike in Iran. First of all, know that Israel's on board. Of course they are. And assuming Israel will be on board for a strike inside Iran, just know that Israeli backed U.S. forces, Israeli-backed U.S. military forces in that region would be absolutely overwhelming for the Iranians. Period. No doubt about it. Everybody knows it. But there are risks for the administration. There are risks. There are ballistic missiles, some advanced ballistic missile systems within Iran that could strike our troops. Kill a lot of U.S. Totally. They have their proxy forces in the region. Don't forget, the Triple H is how I consider them, the Triple H, right? Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, right? The three main proxy forces backed by Iran in the region. They can cause some trouble. And then there's the whole oil issue. Maritime shipping, possibility of lost oil. The global oil market could spike, right? Could spike. There are risks, but we're going to talk about those risks. We're going to really talk about those risks. And then there's the risks of who gets drawn in. Who gets drawn into this? Israel would love to get drawn into this, right? Well, we've got multiple bases in Saudi Arabia. Multiple bases. And don't forget our brand spanking new defense pacts we have with Qatar, and the UAE. Will they be compelled, forced, pushed into this conflict because of these defense pacts? Could that have been Trump's grift on them? Hey, anything pops off in your country, we'll come help you. Oh, well, we're about to start a war in your region, so now you have to come help us. You need to get involved. Push your chips in. There's risks here, okay? There's risks. Carolyn Levitt, she talked about what's going on in terms of the negotiations and the buildup. She said, the two sides have made a little bit of progress, but we're still very far apart on some issues. Iranian officials are expected to come back to us with some more detail in the next couple of weeks. Okay. All right. What's one of the real reasons this is happening? The whole why. Yes, we are in negotiations. We are in negotiations to hamper, hinder, stutter their Iranian nuclear program. We don't want them having intercontinental nuclear ballistic missiles. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about on its face. But you know what else it's all about? It's about what we're not talking about if we're talking about war with Iran, right? We're not talking about the Epstein files. We're not talking about the SAVE Act. We're not talking about World Liberty Financial, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. This show, I'm going to talk about it. We're not talking about tariffs. We're not talking about ICE occupation. We're not talking about our government using our money to build scores of giant detention facilities to hold detainees unconstitutionally. No due process, no access to lawyers. We're not talking about all that, even though we've talked about it at length here on Brett Breaks Things. The world in general, our media cycle is not going to be pushing that stuff if they're pushing war with Iran. I'm not saying that's the whole reason this is happening. I'm saying what a great little advantageous outcome for Donnie. Right? That's all I'm talking about. Israel loves this action. Let me tell you something, boss. They love this action. They can't get enough of it. Marco Rubio is going to go to Israel on the 28th and meet with Benny himself, and they're going to talk about this. They're going to catch Israel up on what they've got in the region, strategic plans for an attack, talk about the talks, how long they'll actually let it go on, what happens when they actually and officially break down. We're gonna fill in Benny. Rubio's going to go out there. Let me tell you something. Netanyahu is eager for this. He can't wait. He's chomping at the bit for this. And he's talked about it because he's got his own demands for Iran that he has expressed publicly, or else this all might kick off again, regardless of what the U.S. does. He's got his own demands, and he's talked about it. He said any deal must ban all enrichment of uranium and dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place. They want to bring it all the way back. The U.S. is willing to oversee a process where Iran turns some of its enriched uranium into plants for electricity and power. That might be an acceptable lane for the U.S., not acceptable for Israel. They don't even want that. No enrichment at all, period. We're done here. End of story, or else. Or else. Okay? Just recently, he said it should also require that all enriched uranium leaves Iran. Restrict Iran's ballistic missile program, not just the nuclear, all ballistic missiles, and impose a sustained inspection of Iran's civilian nuclear program. Okay. Well, experts in the Middle East are saying most of that is a non-starter for Iran. There's no way Iran will agree to all of that. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. And what is Iran saying? What is the Ayatollah saying? What are they saying about all this? Oh, God. Well, before I tell you what they said, do you think what they said made things better or worse? Consider some of the rhetoric that came out of them in the first strikes way back when, just as this administration got started in May or June, whatever it was. Do you think they made things better or worse? Let's take a look. The Khomeini said in recent days, Tehran has the right to produce nuclear power, and the range of its missile arsenal should not be limited. Then he poked the bear. Oh, yeah. Then he started poking. Listen to this. Oh, God. The Americans consistently say they've sent a warship towards Iran, too. Of course, a warship is a dangerous piece of military hardware. However, more dangerous than that warship is the weapon that can send that warship to the bottom of the sea. Great. We've talked about how many thousands of U.S. military personnel are aboard some of these ships, the USS Gerald Ford, the Abraham Lincoln, and their smaller secondary ships that accompany them. And they're talking about we'll send them to the bottom of the sea. Great. He's got to be bigly, strongly, and quickly, right? He's got to be bigly, strongly, and quickly. And we'll take a look. See, that was the zoom out, right? That was the zoom out. That was, why are we saying we're doing this? Where are we in talks about their program? What's Israel saying about this? What military do we have in the region? These are all the out zoom, the out. We're going to zoom way in the next segment. We're going to zoom in and really take a look at this. And we're really going to speak to the actual chance of war with Iran.
Now back to Brett Breaks Things, smashing spin, silencing the noise, and keeping it all facts. No fluff.
Why so bigly, strongly, quickly out of Iran? Why the tough talk? 2 reasons. As we zoom in a little bit, 2 reasons. One, it's been moderately successful if you take a look at the successive administrations that have tried to get this done. Their posture has kind of stiff-armed U.S. intentions on their nuclear program a little bit. Now, Obama made some headway. In 2015, as you know, they came to a deal. Obama and the Iranian officials came to a deal. As soon as Trump took office, what did he do? He broke that deal and said, quote, I want to apply up maximum pressure on Iran, and I can't do this with this garbage, weak Obama deal. This is a Iranian-friendly Obama deal that I just can't abide by. I got to be bigly, strongly, quickly myself. So he gets us out of the deal and seeks a new deal, which he was unable to do. In comes Biden. Biden spent his entire administration unsuccessfully trying to come to a deal with Iran. Couldn't get it done. Back in comes Trump wanting a new deal. You remember how this played out. 60 days, I'm giving him 60 days. The 60 days came and went. And right after that 60 days to make a deal with us, Iran, Israel attacked Iran. Said we tried it your way, Trump. Now we're going to do it our way. They're about to have a missile, an intercontinental nuclear ballistic missile, and we're not going to let them do it. They attack. Don, being the opportunist that he is, immediately strikes Iran's nuclear facilities right on the heels of this Israeli strike. Okay, this has been going on. And right after that strike, Trump went right back to trying to get a deal, and here we are, a new deadline, with different contingencies and stuff around it. Different eventualities and situations have changed a little bit in the region. There's differences here this time. There's differences. But why so bigly strongly? Well, okay, so one, Iran has been doing this dance through 4 presidencies. But two, they need to be as bigly strongly as quickly as they can because of these protests, right? In January, the protests began. Thousands upon thousands of Iranian protesters. They wanted economic reform and they wanted regime change. And how did the Khomeini's official forces and military respond? By killing thousands of protesters. And Donnie wanted to do something then. He wanted to do something then. He even said, we're locked and loaded and ready for regime change. His words, locked and loaded. But the forces really weren't in the area at that time, okay? They didn't really have military assets in the area like they did now. If it went from, 0 to 60, if this thing got thrown into 6th gear real quick, we might not have been as ready as we should be then. And the Iranian government, they need to try to exert control over their people. And maybe this is a way to get them back a little bit. Okay, you guys are protesting me, but look how bigly, strongly, and quickly I am versus the U.S. Listen to this rhetoric, huh? That's bigly, strongly. Come on, guys. I'm the only one who can save you versus this U.S. threat. It's the last card Khomeini has to play, and Trump's handing it to him. He's handing it to him. Okay, but let's zoom in a little farther, talking about these risks, right? Well, the risk of killing U.S. troops. Yes, there is. But the U.S. has already begun withdrawing troops from the region in non-essential strategic points, certain bases, certain supply depots, airfields. They're being evacuated, right? A lot of close assets that aren't crucial to this effort are being evacuated to minimize these deaths. They know what Iran has. Let's talk about the oil. Okay, here's the thing about the oil. Yes, it is a danger here. It is something to think about for this administration. But right now, the oil markets are well supplied. They are relatively cheap, low cost right now. The demand growth is still modest but growing. So demand is still growing. This is the time. If you're really, really worried about global oil prices, this is the time. And they're saying, experts in the field right now are saying, yes, prices will spike if the U.S. invades Iran or, attacks in any meaningful way. But in both the duration of how long it could affect the market, and in the actual dollars that it costs us, it will be minimalized, especially if we don't destroy any of their oil fields or any of their tankers. If no actual oil is destroyed in this process, or if it's just Iranian reserves and Iranian profit destroyed, all of this could be severely minimized. Really minimized. And Iran has not talked about closing the Strait of Hormuz in decades. They might. What do you think the U.S. would do in response to something like that? I think whatever the response would be quick and decisive. Seizing it? Let's just start there. We've already got military assets in the area. We're already attacking you. Because of this attack, you've threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz? No, you won't. You won't be doing that. And let's talk about the proxies just a little bit. One of the other dangers I mentioned, the proxies. Okay, This one gets a little more complicated, but we like that on this show, so we're going to zoom into that as well. Hezbollah has been severely weakened because of Israeli strikes into Lebanon during the siege of Gaza. During that time, Israel just went all out on the Iranian proxies, right? We're already at an all-out war with Hamas here in Gaza. Why don't we just take care of business in Lebanon as well? And they killed multiple high-ranking Hezbollah officials and leadership in those strikes. They're hobbled. There's a leadership problem in Hezbollah. Hamas, well, we know what's happened to Hamas. Although they're still in the region in Gaza, they're there. I mean, to call them weakened at this point would be an understatement, right? An understatement. Hamas has been severely hobbled. The Houthis, however, the Houthis in Yemen's a different story. Now, the Houthis are primarily a major threat not only to pro-government forces in Yemen, but Saudi Arabia as well. That's kind of their little portion of the proxy war from Iran. Your portion, they all had portions, right? Hezbollah fired rockets into Israel. Hamas, they killed people in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip. And of course, October 7th, I think it was, whatever that horrific event, right? They all had roles to play. And the Houthis' role is to harass Saudi Arabia. Right now, the Houthis actually control the Yemen capital, Sana'a. They control it. And in the face of years of US, UK, and other allied countries' strikes on them, they have been resilient. They have been growing, not lessening. They could pose a very serious problem to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia may be inevitably drawn into this fight, not only because of the uptick in Houthi, threat, but also the fact that they have U.S. military bases there that we will be utilizing. So the Houthi threat is still real. Is still real. But when we take a broad look at all of the potential dangers this administration would face in these strikes, this is Don's best chance. If he were going to do this, this would be the time. 10 days from now, all of your military assets will be in place. Israel will be completely caught up to speed and on board to strike with us. That would give UAE and Qatar, our defense-packed allies, time to get their crap together. The Olympics will be over. The Ford will be joining the Abraham. All of that will be in place. The global oil markets are in the sweetest spot they could possibly be in if you were considering something like this. And all of Iran's, well, 2 of 3 of Iran's proxies, main proxies, are severely weakened right now. If we were going to war with Iran, now would be the time.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Brett breaks things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Okay, so Trump is threatening to draw not only our U.S. troops, but the entire Middle East into a conflict with Iran. He's threatening. Big talk, big words, big talk coming back at him. He's doing this. He's doing this while he holds his very first board meeting of his Board of Peace. You have heard about this. They're not diving all the way in yet. A lot of what I'm going to bring you, okay, this needs to be framed for what it is. And this will track with my audience, certainly. This is yet another grift. This is a big one. This is a grift that goes along with what he was saying in June. May and earlier when Gaza was being bombed, and he talked about, well, we should go in there and we should just level the rubble and build a resort. It'll be beautiful. We'll just go in there and do it. You remember those comments? Okay. That grift is this grift. Okay, let's be very clear as I describe some of these details to you. That grift is this grift. The Board of Peace, it's just, the irony is Shakespearean and profound. Their weaponization working group, their Board of Peace. It's crazy. Save America Act, as they destroy our constitutional right to vote. It's the Board of Peace. Now, UN Security Council Resolution 2308. UN. They recognized the Board of Peace as the body that will oversee the Gaza reconstruction and peace in Gaza. Okay? So they are UN recognized, the Board of Peace. It is a grift. Some of the grift is obvious and very clear and plain to see, and some of the grift is in the subtext. Let's talk about the very obvious grift, because any plan that Don is involved in, the obvious and very easily digestible part is the part that Donnie will be comfortable talking about. The more complicated stuff is handled by his sons or Steve Witkoff or David Sachs or whoever, right? Maybe Epstein. But the more digestible parts, the easily understood parts, well, Donnie's got a handle on them. Let's hear Donnie talk at his meeting of the Board of Peace.
And I want to let you know that the United States is going to make a contribution of $10 billion to the Board of Peace. Thank you. And we've had great support for that number. And that number is a very small number when you look at that compared to the cost of war. That's 2 weeks of fighting. It's a very small number. It sounds like a lot, but it's a very small number. So we're committed to $10 billion. Together we can achieve the dream of bringing lasting harmony to a region tortured by centuries of war.
Okay. He's trying to outdo his Sheikh Tanoon $2 billion purchase of USD1 stablecoin from his company, WLF. He's trying to outdo it. Trump said in a statement, and we're going to talk about what he just said. Now, he said in a statement the board members had committed $7 billion for reconstruction in Gaza and announced a $10 billion commitment from the U.S. Trump is chairman for life of the Board of Peace. He just said the board overall has committed $7 billion to reconstruct Gaza. But the U.S. alone has committed $10 billion. This is very important, people. This is very important. I don't remember Congress appropriating that money. Just like I don't remember Congress appropriating the Doge checks or appropriating, the 10% or making into law or legislation the 10% interest rate cap on credit cards. And I don't remember Congress appropriating the $2,000 check we were all going to receive from the tariffs. Congress didn't approve any of these things. But let's take a running tally. Doge checks aren't happening. 10% cap, not happening. Go check it out. It's another show. Not happening. Our $2,000 checks from tariffs, not happening. But $10 billion of our dollars goes to his Board of Peace. I'm just curious, Don, could you just be a little forthcoming on that extra, that pesky little $3 billion that you haven't accounted for? Where does that go? Where did it come from? And where does it go? Let's assume for a second that every other country has contributed nothing. Let's just say that, even though that's not the truth, but we'll get to that. Let's say they contribute nothing so far. All the other members, a handful, have said yes to this Board of Peace. Let's say we're footing the entire bill for Gaza. You just said it's $7 billion. So why are we giving you 10 of unapproved, congressionally unapproved dollars? 10 billion. Just let it sink in. Just let it sink in. And by the way, these other countries have given money. I think there's 25 of the 62 invited countries have agreed. Boom. 25. To be a member of the Board of Peace, you have to give the Board of Peace $1 billion. And then in 3 years, we'll review your status. If we allow you to continue to be on the board, you give us another bill. So if 25 have accepted and are now on the board, that means there's 25 billion from other companies. Where is that? Where's that 25 billion right now? How did you come up with the figure of 7 billion to rebuild Gaza? Just curious how you came up with that figure. Where did our 10 billion come from? And how much of our 10 billion goes to it? And whatever remaining balance, where the hell is that? That's the obvious part of the grift. That's the grift that's right in our face coming out of Donnie's mouth. You and I just gave Don's Board of Peace $10 billion. Okay. Now, there are 7 executives on the Board of Peace. There were some bigwigs there from other really highly established countries. Now, we'll get to the board and we'll get to who showed up. Who showed up to this meeting? Well, Viktor Orban was there, of course. He is facing an ouster coming up in just a little bit. Election analysts saying, well, if there's actual free and fair elections in Hungary, he will be gone. Let's see what Viktor Orban does in the face of that and what little tips Donnie can pick up in the meantime. Also, Javier Milei, his little cheerleader, Mr. Chainsaw Boy, he was there. Of course he was there. Trump was there. Rubio was there. J.D. Vance was there. Our special envoy, Steve Witkoff, was there. And Jared Kushner, the prodigal son, boy genius, the real Bond villain, Jared Kushner was there. Jared Kushner, Rubio, they sit on the board, that executive board. Witkoff, he sits on the executive board. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're all on the executive board. All the big names. There's others on there, too. Trump said of the countries that have not accepted his invitation to this Board of Peace, he said those who had not yet joined the board are playing a little cute. Playing a little cute. Very, very glib, very flip about this massive grift right in front of our face. He said a lot of things at this meeting. He said those Iranian comments. I told you that already. We already moved on from that. He said the things about Iran. He took credit for electoral landslides in countries where he supported the leader, right? There was Milei is one, Orban's one from previous elections, and then he took all the credit for Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. He got elected. Trump just took credit for it. Why not? Then he talked about Rubio and how great Rubio is. He even said, oh, Marco, don't do any better than you did, please, because if you do, you're out of here. Ha, 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 ha. Like, calm down, Rubio. Don't take my shine. Don't take JD's shine. Or do. Maybe you'll be the next one. Whatever. All right, here's the important stuff. The other part of the grift. The part that's not quite so out loud. Trump announced the multi-billion-dollar reconstruction, $7 billion, along with contributions that are not yet disclosed from board members going forward. All right, some of this has been described. Much of it is vague right now. Gianni Infantino, who is the wildly corrupt FIFA president, he was there wearing a cute little red hat, being a little clown. He has dedicated $75 million from FIFA to build soccer stadiums in this reconstruction. He was there. Now, Trump has already gotten support from some countries militarily. He has unveiled details for plans of a UN-authorized stabilizing force in Gaza. Now, this part I don't hate for two reasons, okay? This UN-authorized stabilizing force, it's going to include Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, the number 2 exporter of potassium, Kosovo, and Albania. Heavy hitters, all of them. Heavy hitters. Here's why I don't hate it. One, he's still, at least in rhetoric, acknowledging UN authority, because I don't know how long that will last. I don't know how long he's going to officially recognize the UN as any kind of meaningful body globally. I fully think he means to usurp the UN's role globally with his Board of Peace. Can't be any more clear than that. So the fact that he's still even recognizing UN authority in any capacity, to me, is a positive. Also, you want to put it on these countries to have boots in the ground during this reconstruction? Fine. That will share the U.S.'s risk at least. It won't be a U.S. military operation. That looks terrible, at least at the outset. All right. So I don't hate that bit. They played a video at this meeting. The video outlined a 3-year goal to rebuild Rafah, right? And create a gateway connecting Gaza to Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. And it talked about the rebuilding of the Gaza into something marketable, beautiful, lush, a tourist destination. There's a couple problems with this. And this is the other part of the grift. First of all, I'm just curious what role Hamas has to play in this. What are they just going to say, you know what? We're done here. You win. We're going to go down to Soda Sopa and we're going to get a job at a cafe serving lattes. Let's get on board. We're going to get on board with capitalism. Let's go. Hamas is just going to not take part in any of this. Speaking of not take part in any of this, Palestine. Palestine has absolutely no role in the Board of Peace. No role outlined for Palestinian leadership. Have they been agreed to this? Have they agreed to this? Have you outlined a plan to hand assets over to the Palestinian people because, it's their country? Have you outlined any plans how they're going to take part in this and profit from this for generations? How they will be better? How they will be in their home profiting and benefiting from this? No, they don't even have. The Board of Peace has a subcommittee for the Board of Gaza Peace and Reconstruction. There's a separate Gaza board on the overall Board of Peace. It's right underneath. And Palestinians have no role in it. None. They have no say in any of this. Human rights experts and others have condemned the Board of Peace as a colonial project. Oh, yeah, they're talking about it. Some are. They directly question the lack of Palestinian representation on the Gaza Executive Board. No Palestinian representation at all. Cardinal Pier Baptista Pizzabella, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem in Italy, said, "It is a colonialist operation, others deciding for the Palestinians." Short, sweet, straight to the point. You can call it colonialist, you can call it whatever you want, but it is outside the decision-making ability of Palestinians. They have no ability to make any decisions in any of this. They have been completely cut out. I shudder to think what their role in Don's Board of Peace's plans for the region. And apparently they think Hamas is just going to get on board. They're just going to roll right over. Well, time to leave. Or maybe we'll just get a job at one of these nice refurbished downtown dining areas. Make a living. It seems very, very short-sighted to me. And if you want to piss off the Palestinians, don't invite them to the party, but make sure that Ben Netanyahu's on your little board, and that's exactly what they did. Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel are officially on the Board of Peace. Palestinians, out. Stiff-armed. Left out. Door closed on K. Ben at the center of the decision-making process for Gaza's reconstruction and continuing peace. Aye. Not good. Not good for the Palestinian people at all. At all. And when I mention the UN, well, let's take a look for just a second what he has to say about the UN. Because I fully believe, and many others agree with me, that he totally means to usurp their power, replace them as a world policeman, as a global entity, replace them, take their spot. That's what he means to do. I think it's kind of clear. Trump suggested the Board of Peace would effectively oversee the United Nations. Oh, yeah. The United Nations is going to be much stronger, and the Board of Peace is going to almost be looking over the United Nations and making sure it runs properly. That's right. That's what he said. He said he was looking to work very closely with the UN, but the organization has not lived up to its tremendous potential. Oh, they haven't lived up. Really, Don? They haven't lived up. Well, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had this to say. He warned the body faces imminent financial collapse unless member states reform funding rules or pay outstanding dues. What is he talking about? He's talking about the U.S. owing the UN $2.1 billion in dues. $767 million this year alone. Who hasn't been holding up their end of the bargain, Don? Just curious.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things.
What you've seen today is just a small sample of the work that's been done. And I really want to thank the entire team that's worked so hard at this. A lot of these people are volunteers. They're doing this not for any personal gain. People are not personally profiting from this. They are really doing this for their children and for their grandchildren and because they want to see peace.
Who are you talking about, Jared? Are you talking about the leaders of all of these wacko nations that have gotten on board? They're not doing... What are you talking about? Their children, their family. We're talking about your Board of Peace has invited the leaders of all these 62 nations. They're not doing it for, they're doing it for charity? What? They're all donating $1 billion to this board where we don't know where this money's going, what it's being spent on. And Don's the chairman. This board. Don is the chairman. Don is the chairman. And this executive board, oh, just the biggest and brightest. We've got it. We've got it. So there's the Gaza Executive Board, which is lower than the Board of Peace Executive Board. The Board of Peace Executive Board makes all the strategic decisions and the money making and the money giving out. It's the executive board of the Board of Peace. Who is that? Don, chairman for life. Steve Witkoff, our special envoy. Our special envoy and co-founder of WLF, World Liberty Financial. Right. Jared Kushner. Got it. Great. Tony Blair. Yes, that Tony Blair. Former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Mark Rowan, CEO and billionaire of Apollo Global Management. AJ Banga, the president of the World Bank Group. And Robert Gabriel Jr., who's an American political advisor, millionaire. Trump ally. Trump is there for life unless the other 7 members decide in a majority that he should not be for any reason. Okay, that'll happen. All right, let's put a hat on this. 26 countries have said yes. I mean, we're talking just the best of the best. Argentina, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Bulgaria, El Salvador, Hungary, Indonesia, Israel, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Mongolia, Morocco, Pakistan, Paraguay, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, United States, and Uzbekistan. And by the way, Qatar and UAE, you better be on board. Qatar, we just sold you 15 of our cutting edge technology jets. House them them for you and then trained your pilots. We've got that shiny new defensive pack. Same thing with you, UAE. You love those shiny new NVIDIA chips you just got, right? And we've got this new defensive pack. You better be on our little board of peace, and they are. They are. A few said they intend to be on it. They just got to kind of scrape together the cash. Albania, Belarus, Cambodia, Egypt, Kuwait, and Vietnam. Okay. There's a handful that have said, we got your invitation, Don. We have not decided yet whether we will or will not be. There's a handful of those. And we're getting actually a little bigger as we go down this list. Cyprus, Czech Republic, Greece, India, Italy, Mexico, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia. Maybes, Don. Hold on to this maybe for us for a second. Let's see how this plays out a little bit. Some have completely left them on red, not responding. And we're getting bigger. Australia, Brazil, China, Finland, India, Japan, Netherlands, Oman, Philippines, Portugal, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, Thailand, and Ukraine. Oof. Yeah, go figure they might not trust your little board of peace, as you have taken 0 steps to bring peace to them. They might be a little skeptical. Go figure. We extended an invitation to Canada, then we rescinded it, part of that little back and forth, that little spat between us and Canada. Yeah. We rescinded our offer to them. That's great. It's a good look. And here are the countries that have said, no thanks, Don. Austria, Croatia, France, Germany, Ireland, New Zealand, Norway, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and the Vatican City. Not that they had to respond either way, but that's a little ouch. That's a little dig in the side. The Vatican City, with their massive army, said, yeah, Don, we're not interested in your board of peace. A city built on peace among us. I mean, you could debate religion all you want, but let's be honest. I mean, the popes give good talk, and they talk a lot about peace. They're not interested in Don's board of peace. I find that very, 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 very interesting. Now, we're going to close out the show by hearing from Don's spawn, his seed. Why are they talking? They're talking because of this other grift that I mentioned, the one that I'm in love with, disseminating, breaking down, and bringing to you, my audience. It's the $2 billion in WLF USD1 stablecoin purchased by Sheikh Tanoon of the UAE, and in return he got the most advanced AI chips on the planet, NVIDIA chips. This has become an issue. People are saying things, people are asking things. People with power want to know why, how, where. Okay. So, in the face of all this, Donnie Jr. and Eric, they went and they talked on CNBC. Let's hear from these idiots.
I'm curious what you're trying to accomplish here, because it's not just a crypto conference. World Liberty is a crypto company, but you have CEOs from Goldman Sachs and big hedge fund managers. What's the goal?
I think we're trying to modernize finance. We're the most canceled people in the world in 2020, 2021. And it's really great to almost have this retribution where all of a sudden we start pushing an agenda. Our agenda was to modernize finance, to allow that to never, ever, ever happen to anybody again.
Okay. Remember, as I bring you these sound bites, they are pushing back and trying to flip the script on a scheme utilizing administrative power to benefit financially our president's companies. Our president's company, specifically WLF, World Liberty Financial, which Steve Witkoff is the CEO of and co-founder, the same Steve Witkoff who is our administration's special envoy and jet-setting all over the planet for peace talks and big meetings with world leaders every week. Directly using the power of your office to funnel billions of dollars to your family's company. They are trying to come out and say, you did this. We're just being Americans. We're just taking advantage of a system that was set up for us. And by the way, they said we're the most canceled. We're the most canceled ever. Yeah, you were canceled by Deutsche Bank and Signature Bank and other banking administrations. Yeah, banks have canceled you because you're frauds. You're frauds. Let's continue to hear from them. Oh, and by the way, she mentioned a WLF Mar-a-Lago dinner, which I'm going to cap off the show by bringing to you little details of. So what's going on in the background of them lying to us about this is this WLF, World Liberty Financial dinner at Mar-a-Lago that had all the most important people in the world's economic structure. It's crazy, but let's hear from these idiots first. But that's what she's referencing is this WLF dinner at Mar-a-Lago. But let's continue to hear from them.
Exciting.
Well, you know what the critics would say. They'd say that the credibility factor is the Trump name and the Trump White House, and that everyone, is here to curry favor.
I think, again, the great irony here is they didn't give us much of a choice. When you had they created this monster. When you had every big bank in the world for doing nothing wrong, just based on the fact that we all wore a hat that said "Make America Great Again." My father happened to be running as a Republican, canceled us. I mean, I was getting these calls, 300 bank accounts, Capital One, in the middle of the night. These are commercial buildings, residential buildings, golf courses. Around the world.
All right, shut up, Eric. I can't stand.
They were pulling these accounts like us.
I guarantee Trump can't stand when he talks too. I guarantee you, when he gets rolling, Trump can't take it. I bet he cuts him off. It's very Succession type environment, I'm sure. I can't stand either of them. And as you watch Don Jr., watch him fake his way through his father's mannerisms. He sits there and he forces the Trump mannerisms. Like, say what you want about Trump, and we do. The dude talks with his hands. He looks like an idiot, but it's consistent and it's very natural. He just does it. And watch Don just force his way through it. It's so pathetic. Okay, stop right there, Eric. Stop right there. Okay, first of all, that dinner, the WLF dinner, and your other dinners, your crypto dinners, that's all pay for play. That's all using the power of your office to curry money and favors. It's all pay for play. It's all crony capitalism. It's all corrupt. It's all a grift. And we all see it for what it is, no matter how much you want to sit there and say, we created this monster. That's crazy. And we created this monster. And yes, you were canceled. Both of you, speaking of all the banks that canceled you, Eric and Don, talking about for nothing because all we did was wear a hat that said America, make America great again. No, that's not all you did. Both of you were found liable each for $4 million worth of business fraud in New York. Blatantly false financial data to secure lower interest rates was, to be specific, both of you, each of you, $4 million in damages. That's what you did. Take the hat off, and you're still a fraud. These dudes get me a little. Wow. Sometimes I start to float outside my body and look down at myself ranting. These two piss me off a little bit. Let me take it down a notch. Let's hear from them.
So we did this out of necessity, and it was important. I think it's important for the world. And in that, I think we're creating a lot of efficiencies that we're lacking in the system. I mean, as someone who either one of us could have called any banker in New York over the last 20 years and gotten a loan for a building, and, we just realized we were sort of the top of the Ponzi scheme that was banking. If you didn't have those connections, if you didn't have these things, you didn't get that benefit. Crypto totally democratizes the ability for people to transact, to do finance, to get the loans that they need for businesses that make sense. That didn't exist for everyone, and we're really glad to be able to bring that to the forefront in the market.
Okay. All right. First of all, we're coming back for overtime because we're going to finish disseminating this and dicing these idiots up. Oh, man. First of all, he just said the quiet part out loud. He called banking a Ponzi scheme and then said, we're at the top of the Ponzi scheme. Okay, Mr. 4 million in fraud, sitting next to your brother, Mr. 4 million in fraud. You are the quiet part right out loud. We're at the top of the Ponzi scheme. And then he starts talking about, the benefits of Bitcoin. Well, let's be honest with everybody, Don Jr. It has been extremely volatile lately, and it is dipping violently right now. It is not secure. It's not a sure thing. Right now, people are losing their mortgages. We're coming back for overtime to hear these two idiots talk some more.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Brett breaks things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
To ask ask you about, the World Liberty Corporation, which has been in the news, and there was this big Wall Street Journal report about the 49% stake that was sold to an Emirati royal family member after your father was elected president, raising questions about whether they were doing that so they could get access to AI chips.
A, my father has nothing to do with. B, it has nothing to do with AI chips. And C, we met in the Middle East the first time.
Yes.
There's not a person in that room, there's not a banker, there's not a fund manager that doesn't go to the Middle East and to the, whether the sovereign wealth funds of the world. They're some of the biggest investors in every fund in America. To critique the one here and not talk about the others would be nonsense. It's literally what they do. And so they have done that. They invested in it, and they've actually had already over a 4x return on their investment. It's a great investment and has nothing to do with the other. We've been dealing with the conflict of interest stuff for years. I mean, they tried all this nonsense the first time around. Frankly, it's gotten old. They were the ones that put us into this position by creating legislation to try to put us out of business. We just fought back. We weren't willing to sit in the corner, curl up in a ball and die like they would love us to do. That's not how we function. That's not how we operate.
Okay, that's culture war bullcrap. There was no legislation to keep Don Jr. from making money. He's claiming the victim like Trump always does. Very Trumpian. I'm the victim. You did this. You did this. And why are you? He said, why are you criticizing the UAE royal family, the Emiratis? Why are you criticizing them? This is what they do. They're investors. What are you talking about? Nonsense. Nonsense that the timing of my father becoming president coinciding with them giving us $500 million. That's nonsense. This is what he claims. Nonsense. All right. So they're out there telling the big lies. Telling the big lies, trying to cover up the fact that the Trump administration is using the powers of the executive office directly to steer policy and U.S. official decision-making that puts billions of dollars in his company's pockets. Him, Witkoff, his kids, a couple other weirdo investors. They are directly profiting from the decisions being made from the Trump administration. The biggest grift ever. They had a dinner. The dinner this reporter was talking about. This WLF dinner at Mar-a-Lago. They had a dinner. You want to talk about in our face. In our face. 2 Senate-confirmed federal agency heads were there. Oh, yeah. Yep. The chief executives of both the largest stock exchanges were at this dinner. CEO of Goldman Sachs was there. Republican senators were there. Nicki Minaj was there. the power brokers, You know who else was there? CZ. Yeah. Changpeng Zhao. CZ. You guys know him. My audience knows this guy. The CEO and founder of Binance. He's worth $80 billion. 85% of U.S.-backed USD1 stablecoin, Trump's stablecoin, 85% of it is invested in Binance. Binance took on this stablecoin to show the rest of the world its significance and legitimacy. He took that chance. Why? Because he received a pardon from Trump 4 months ago. That was CZ's role in this scheme. Tanoon buys $2 billion himself of Trump's stablecoin, $2 billion check to WLF, takes his $2 billion of stablecoin and invests it in Binance. CZ says, yes, I'll take that US-backed USD1 coin and I'll legitimize it. I will invest in it. Give it to me. I'm giving you a place to put it. What did CZ get? A pardon. That pardon was for 2023 charges that he pled guilty to. $4 billion in fraud he was liable for. $4 billion in damages, and he spent 4 months in prison. Was no longer allowed to be CEO of his company. Was no longer able to do business in the U.S. And then Trump hands him his pardon for his role in the scheme. Now he's back to the head of his company. He's at Mar-a-Lago, rubbing elbows and shaking hands with the leaders of the United States economic future. Right in our face. Right in our face. Small business administrator Kelly Loeffler was there. She said some wacko crap. World Liberty CEO Steve Witkoff and our special envoy, Steve Witkoff, he was there, said a bunch of wacko crap. Michael Seelig, the commissioner of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, he was there and he spoke. Why is that important? Because the CFTC polices cryptocurrency. They would be the first line of defense in the face of a crypto scheme worth $2 billion. Not only is Michael Seelig silent about that, he spoke at this dinner. That's why this matters. He spoke at this dinner. Here we go. The U.S. faced a difficult moment in financial innovation, and that it's a moment we have to seize as regulators. And then he talked about desire to preempt state regulation on AI and betting markets. He wants to deregulate state-level regulations on AI, porn, betting. He wants to deregulate it at the state level and have just the tippy top of the administration, he and David Sachs, decide what's right for you as he deregulates betting, deregulates AI, the stuff your kids are going to, deregulates it. That's why this matters. That's why this matters. I mean, Lynn Martin and Adina Freeman, the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange presidents, were there. Templeton CEO Jenny Johnson was there. Goldman Sachs, David Solomon was there. All while the MAGA right tries to tell us that Trump's not a populist. He's not a part of the aristocracy. He's not the 1% holding you down. He's not the swamp. The swamp was at Mar-a-Lago for a WLF dinner. It's a friggin' joke. It's a joke. Now, these people showed up to Mar-a-Lago with scrutiny on this dinner and the transactions. There are a lot of questions that need answering, and some people are starting to ask those questions. Okay, they want to know about this $2 billion investment from G42, Sheikh Danoon's company, into USD1. They want to know why Sheikh Danoon's G42 gave a huge $5 million stake to Trump and WLF 2 weeks before the inauguration, right after Trump was elected. They want to know about it. The Democrats want to know about it. The Democrats, should they win in November, they will begin subpoenaing people. And they will subpoena people for documents. They will subpoena people for testimony. And mark my words, they will impeach Don over this, if not anything else. And when Don talks about we got to win in November or they'll impeach me, he knows damn well this is what they're talking about. He knows it. This is big. This is the biggest grift out of the White House ever. They will impeach him after November if should they take the House. They will. They want to know about the World Liberty Board. WLF's board has Chinese-born CEO Peng Zhao on their board. Chinese-born. The whole reason the U.S. would not sell the advanced NVIDIA chips to the UAE is because of their relationship with China. And now a China-born CEO sits on the board of WLF? China Hawks, anything? Well, we're hearing from Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna says, I have 16 questions I want answered. He is the top Democrat on the House Committee on threats from China. There is a committee for that. He's the top Democrat on it, and he wants to know why. He wants answers. He wants answers about the $500 million, 187 to Trump and his family, 31 million to Witkoff. Where's the other 250 million, by the way? They want to know about the relationship with Zhao, CZ, Sheikh Danoon. What role did Witkoff play? What role did Sachs play? They want to know about it. They want to know about it, and Trump will be impeached. Will be impeached should things go well in November. I'll be back Monday. Thanks, guys.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back Monday to break it all down.